Riding the Giant Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC. I had a strange and unsettling encounter with a big man riding an even bigger dogman when I went snowshoe walking north of Eagle and south of Dogman in Wisconsin. I forget what year this was, but it had to have been 2018 or 2019-ish, just before everything got so stupid. To the east side of Route 67 over there is a big suburban area. To the west are various natural areas and ice age trails. It was one of those trails that I set off to with my snowshoes after the fresh snow of that season. I was very excited, as I had gotten to walk in snowshoes 2 times before, but this would be the first time I'd be going with ones that I owned myself. My favorite thing about wearing them is it's the only instance in modern life where you're encouraged to leave as large a footprint as you would like. I got to the place early in the morning, planning on enjoying the sun going up and getting warmer during my walk through nature. I was figuring on quitting when the sun got directly overhead around noon, because I had other things I hoped to do that afternoon. My morning was not to go as planned, though, as complications would arise in the form of a giant dogman and his apparently human master. So I was enjoying my walk, and I decided I'd better check my compass to make sure I was heading in the direction that I thought I was heading in. I bent my head down to see the reading clearly in the bright morning light, but when I lifted my head up again, I saw a very large figure in the distance, one so tall as to make me gasp and tip backward on my snowshoes. In fact, I fell into such a painfully awkward position that my initial shock was wiped clean away by the physical pain. I looked again, and indeed I was looking at a bipedal dogman, or else possibly some kind of a black and white bear. It had its hands up and seemed to be expressing some sort of deep passion. Was this a dogman? A Wisconsin werewolf? I had heard the terms, but I never thought about the possibility that I might run into one in real life, if that's what this remarkably large beast in fact was. And then, as I watched, it came crashing back down to the snow, and I saw it as a still very large, but now quadrupedal, wolf beast, down on all fours, and carrying a passenger that looked to be a very fully grown adult man. In fact, we're talking about someone who shopped at the Big and Tall Men's Shop. This wasn't no jockey. This was a tall man, and a round one, too. He reminded me of Billy the Heavy Equipment Operator from the Oak Island TV show. But that big old 4-legged dogman was carrying him around on his back, like he was carrying a feather pillow. My initial reaction was one of surprise, but it quickly turned to fear when I saw the angry look on the face of this big, heavyweight man. He seemed to be whipping the beast he rode to run faster, and he was shouting something at me that I completely could not understand. He was still far away, but I don't even think he was speaking English. I'd assumed he was American, but his accent sounded like something out of Eastern Europe. I held my hands up in front of me, pleading with him to stop, or at least slow down. Instead, he whipped the dogman harder, and I saw its teeth, and I realized they were bigger than my head. When that dogman started barking furiously at me, I turned and did my own version of running in snowshoes. This was not a race that was gonna last for very long. Although the snow was pretty deep, the dogman seemed to be able to run over it, just the same as if it were hard and dry ground. It was gonna catch up to me soon, and I didn't want to know what it would do to me then. I was frightened out of my wits. I found a cluster of trees to go into that were too tightly packed for the big dogman to get in. As I hit on the ground, cowering in a fetal position, the beast man leaned heavily on a tree, shaking leaves and twigs and whatnot off as they rained down on my head from above. I prayed that the man and the creature would get bored if I played dead and kept quiet inside that grove of trees. But they seemed to be on pep pills that day. They tried repeatedly to push trees down, to push trees apart, and to reach into the grove and get at me that way. Finally, grumbling and cursing in some foreign language, the big and tall jockey man jumped down off the Dogman, took out a knife, and started walking toward the grove that I was hiding in. Needless to say, I took off out of the other side of that grove and toward an area that I thought I had seen people in earlier. It didn't take the heavyset guy long to get back on his werewolf mount, and the two of them were coming up behind me in the snow. They were going to catch me before I reached any form of safety. It didn't look good for me, but I didn't give up. I just tried to snow walk faster. I'm not good at having a plan B, so I just had to stick with my initial plan, which was to not die. I hadn't worked out any more details than that, but I had a strong overarching theme to the plan. You have to at least grant me that. This is what I was like in that moment too. I was making bad dad jokes, at least in my head. I was making puns. I was engaging in the enjoyment of trivia, and I was forcing myself to block out that there was a dogman who wanted to destroy me, and he was being guided by a human who seemed to want the same thing. It was like I went to the park for a walk in the snow, and I found myself in the middle of an action sequence from some sort of supernatural James Bond movie. I saw some people off in the distance, although I couldn't see what they were doing. I headed toward them, and I noticed that one of them from that group started heading toward me. It seemed at first to be someone riding a pony. Then I noticed that it was not a pony. It was a canine. It was another four-legged dogman being ridden by another really big, heavy-set guy. I literally dropped to my knees. I had been using up all my energy to run toward the very people who wanted to destroy me. I was a fool, and my life was probably about to end. I felt my knees and feet getting wet, but I just panted and caught my breath, resigned to whatever happened next. I was staring at the snow on the ground in front of me and trying not to pass out when I heard a woman's voice screaming angrily in that same Eastern European language that I heard the other guy talking. Looking up, I saw that the big man on the second dogman was actually a woman, or at least he sure sounded like one. The first guy seemed to be her subordinate, and he was making noises as if to apologize. Lady Dracula was not receiving anything he was serving, and soon he shut up and sulked off to join the other people in the distance, each of which seemed to be mounted on a different large dogman. Each of the dogmen were black and white canines, and each of the humans appeared overweight and wearing old, dirty winter clothing. The heavy-set lady leaned down to me and said something that I think was meant to be an apology, and I think was meant to be in English. It sort of sounded like Dracula saying that she was sorry for the trouble that her idiot assistant had caused. Then she did something with her reins, and the dogman reared up on his hind legs, like Silver at the beginning of the old Lone Ranger TV show. Then the two of them galloped off to rejoin their weird friends in the distance, and I seized that opportunity to book it out of the park. Although I was kind of chuffed about it for a couple of days, by the next weekend, I had two friends bugging me to go back and bring them along. The snow had already melted too much for a snowshoe walk, though. And although I did bring them back to the park, we did not encounter any large canines on that occasion at all, even the normal kind. I had to move back east before the next winter, and I've never had a chance to head back to that region to look for those people and their remarkable mounted dogman steeds again. I had expected to hear more about them by now, to be honest. I mean, how are these people not in newspapers and magazines? How has nobody made a viral YouTube or TikTok video of one of these giant dogmen? I mean, I can't imagine it's very easy to hide canines that large. So where are they? Why are these people not either celebrities, or at least notorious in some way? Do they have something that they're trying to hide from the public? I mean, If I had a pack of dogmen who were tame enough to ride the backs of, I think I'd go on the Today Show and let everyone see them. I think I'd charge celebrities large amounts to ride them. Stuff like that, you know? I don't think I'd use them to chase me down in an obscure park one morning. I don't think I'd be hiding them in any way at all. If those were my creatures, anyone who could afford the fare could get online, and soon they would be the next happy person. Riding the giant Dogman. Whether you're femme or whether you're butch, you really ought to give some thanks to Ms. Topher Kutch. Please join us in thanking today's executive producer, Ms. Topher Kutch, for making this episode possible. She joined our channel membership at the incredibly low 99-cent level, and that allows her to see our secret uncensored Dogman stories like this weird one on the screen right now. Here to explain in greater detail how you can help us stay online and receive cool perks in return is our international TV spokesmongrel, Henry Lee Dogman. Thanks, Biggie, and thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that when it cuts off after I think 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.